Hello out there in YouTube land. This is Glenda with aka GK Fralin, a friendly community. And I've got a story tonight. I had a headache today. Thank goodness it's kind of gone away, and I looked back at yesterday's notes, because yesterday I showed all those knickknacks as I was cleaning them, a lot of them souvenirs from places that we have traveled, because I like the little mug or cup saucer things, the tiny ones. And I remember saying about the Miami trip, the one that we had from Miami, that was quite the trip, and that someday I would tell that story. Or when I had time, I would tell that story. So I do have something tonight. I have a Miami story. Not just Miami Beach, Miami. Anyway, like I said, we were in a business with others, and my sister and her husband and their two boys, their youngest one, the girl, wasn't even a spot in the eye yet, I don't believe. Our oldest daughter and her husband, and my husband and I, and our son and our youngest daughter piled into two cars, two sedans, just regular cars. We had an old Oldsmobile. Now, I think I remember telling you this was back in the early 90s. So don't freak out. Yes, we had an Oldsmobile Cutlass and we loved it. Anyway, and my son-in-law had a Buick, well, him and my daughter had a Buick Regal. So all of our families piled in, all three, my daughter and her husband, us and our two, my sister and her husband and their two, all into two cars. And we proceeded to head for Miami, which was and we did not want to stop for a hotel or an overnight. We wanted to just, because, you know, our guys got off on Friday afternoon, so we drove, you know, it started, you could check in Friday night or Saturday morning, whichever the case may be. Anyway, we drove straight through 36 hours. So we didn't get there early morning by any means, but we got there. However, on the way, here's all of us piled in these two cars. Now, kids do have to sleep, especially when they're fairly young. Our youngest was about 10. She was about 10. And my sister's boys, they were younger than that. So anyway, and drivers need breaks. So we had people sleeping on the floor, leaning up against each other. And of course, we'd have to take breaks here and there to go to the bathroom. And on one of those breaks, my sister's camera got stolen right out of the rest area. And I believe that was one in Georgia. Anyway, there's one thing we learned, and of course this has been many moons ago. I don't know what it's like now. One thing we did learn, though, when we finally got to the outskirts of Miami, which, believe me, the outskirts of Miami is far before you get into Miami. You turn off the radio. You do not want to try to find any kind of a music channel or anything. Well, you might these days because there's a serious channels. But when you get into radio range of Miami, you turn that radio off because there's constantly break-ins reporting an accident here, an accident there, a shooting here, a shooting there. And it's just this barrage. So, at least it wasn't. Our experience was that it was like that. Anyway, we're looking for motels. We were already registered for the motels, by the way. Okay, it turned out that my sister and her husband and my daughter and her husband were checked into one that was in downtown Miami. Somehow, I don't know why they were down there instead of on Miami Beach like we were, but they were. And so that would have put their boys there with them too. Anyway, so we were on the actual beach. Well, one of the beach motels, not on the beach. One of the motels along Miami Beach. And, oh, it was a beautiful hotel. All the meetings were at the Fontainebleau. I already told you this yesterday. And I told you the incident with them all jumping into the very dark waters of the Atlantic Ocean. I want to insert here. It was nighttime. Very dark nighttime. And they didn't have streetlights on the beach. I think there was a pier. It wasn't like it was just walking off the edge of the beach and getting your feet in the water. They were in there where they could actually get in over their head and swim. And I was just, oh, and my husband was trying to calm me down. They're adults. You can't tell them what to do. And it's like, I was like yelling at my, don't you even try that. But they did have a blast because during the meeting, one of our group, our particular group, not that traveled with us, but anyway, they did have a room at the Fontainebleau. So we were, and they had somebody there to watch the kids while we all went to meetings. And they could go back and check, we could go back and check. And so we all let the kids order room service, fully knowing it was going to be expensive. And they just had a ball. They enjoyed those pancakes, let me tell you. Because those pancakes didn't just come as pancakes with syrup on them like Mama at home. Anyway, they had strawberries, Beale strawberries, and I don't know what all, but they absolutely loved having room service. And of course, we had to tell them, no, you can't do that all the time. Thank goodness when we were down at the, when we were on Miami Beach itself, and all of this whole thing is taken up by this whole big bunch from this. I mean, let's just say the business we were in sold out everything or bought out everything pretty much. Anyway, we got, I think it was there that we got to listen to Jerry Reed. I used to love Jerry Reed. He's gone now. I don't know if any of you have ever seen Smokey and the Bandit. You younger ones may or may not have, but he was a country singer, but he was also an actor. And he, so short. You picture them on the screen, they always make them look like they're taller or that they're, bigger than they are. Short guy. I don't know how short. He was up on stage, but he was certainly very small compared to what I thought he was. Because I had this idea of this guy almost as tall as John Wayne or something, because just the movies. He was always kind of the tough truck driver or the singing truck driver. But anyway, so that was a very, very unique experience. But we did go down into a district that was, I think, mainly Cuban. At least they had a lot of the businesses down there. Not a bit of problem. We didn't have a bit of problem, except language barrier. Trying to, I think they understood us much better than we understood them. Because being from the Midwest, there's a lot of dialects that are very difficult to understand. And I mean, even a lot of your southern dialects, if they're very, if they're like Pauladine, you get used to it after a while, but when you're first around it, you just cannot, it's hard to, you have to make them repeat things every once in a while. So anyway, so when they speak more Spanish than they do English, and so their accent was very thick. And I was telling a friend the other day, if I were in France, I'd have to look her up. She lives over in France. Friend through the internet. Anyway, she's American, but she moved to France years ago. And I said, I don't think I could ever speak French because my accent would be terrible. Because you have to get your mouth around a French word, from what I've heard. And from what I've heard people trying to speak French, and having no luck with it at all. I know I could never, ever really communicate well in France. Or a lot of those countries. I am linguistically monolingual. That's the word I'm looking for. I don't know if there is such a word, but I just made it up. If there isn't. I am monolingual. I can speak a little Spanish but I took a year and a half of it in high school, and I can only remember bits and pieces. And to have been able to ever speak it and have them understand me, they would have been laughing oh, anyway. So that was a fun experience. But we did, we found we got some sandwiches, and delicious. Anyway, and then we came back around some corner somewhere, and we got like postcards and stuff like that, because I've got a whole file just full of postcards from all these different places, either that we've been or someone's been. Anyway, I'm way over. I'm gonna have to cut some of this out. So a 36-hour trip down, a 34-hour trip back, and the only thing we lost was a lot of sleep and one camera. Anyway, if you have not subscribed, please do. If you liked the story or you liked my channel, give me a thumbs up and share. Share it with somebody. Let them know that, hey, there might be something over here that's kind of fun. Even if it is a gray-haired old lady telling stories about Miami in the early 90s. I love you, and tomorrow's another day, so hasta mañana. At least I know that a double L in Spanish is yeah. Hasta mañana.